I've spoken with software developers who have told me that they created a database instance in the cloud and then forgot about it because it was for a new application or an experiment. And then a week or a month after that, they got hit by a massive cloud bill for services that were doing absolutely nothing. So a very nasty surprise, right? And fortunately, there are solutions to this. And today we're going to look at MariaDB Cloud and how it's trying to fix the headache of provisioning databases, scaling databases, and thankfully billing as well. So MariaDB Cloud is a fully managed database as a service that supports analytical, transactional, and AI workloads, and that you can access through these nice web user interface or a set of REST endpoints for your DevOps processes as well. And it has two main architectures, provisioned and serverless. So let's have a quick look at provisioned. And it has three topologies. Single node, you need to grow, you need high availability, something small that works well. If you need high availability and maybe scale reads, then you can go with one primary and multiple read replicas, front-ended by a database proxy. Or you can make all the nodes actually read or write. So all of them are primary, and that's the MariaDB Enterprise cluster. And you can, in the case of a MariaDB server with replicas, you can launch a Exa Analytics node. This is for enabling HTAP, which is hybrid transaction analytical processing, which routes queries to a InnoDB node, for example, or to an Exa node if it's analytics. So it increases the speed of the queries by quite a whole lot, sometimes hundreds of times faster. Okay, but today we're going to look at serverless, which offers a free tier. So you can go ahead and create a free account, launch a database, and connect your applications to it right away. Now it starts super quickly, and it allows you to auto-scale if you need that. So even though it's serverless, it auto-scales also very fast. So you pay only for what you use. And that's thanks to the fact that it can scale to 0 when the database is idle. So typically you would have a database server that your application connects to, and you want to replicate this server, right? You need to add more nodes here for high availability or to scale up the database. And the thing here is that you will have to pay for these nodes for as long as they exist, right? Even if you stop sending SQL queries, you still have to pay for these nodes. Now, serverless changes this because it makes all these servers a bit opaque. It's like they are not there, but of course, your servers are still there, but you don't see them. This is abstracted away from you and your applications. And if you stop sending SQL queries, you stop paying for these resources because they get deallocated. It's like they are not there anymore, so you are not paying for them. But don't worry, your data is still there. In fact, your application is still connected to a database, even though these resources are deallocated. That's thanks to something called MariaDB Max Scale, which is a very advanced database proxy for MariaDB. So this abstracts away all the topology in this square in the serverless environment, and also in other MariaDB deployments. So your application only sees one endpoint that needs to connect to consume the database, and it doesn't need to worry about what's going on in the backend. So the servers are deallocated, but as soon as you start sending queries, they get allocated back to you. And moreover, if your workload decreases, you are sending less SQL queries, then you scale down and you pay less. So you truly pay for what you are using, thanks to this allocation and deallocation of servers, which is super fast. So how fast? Well, let me show you. So let's go to MariaDB.com, and here you will find MariaDB Cloud, or you can just go to cloud.mariadb.com or click here, get started. That works as well. Let's sign up with Google. Super easy, one click, select your account, and I'm in, all right? So I'm welcomed by these pop-up here that allows me to quick launch a database, which we're gonna do. But actually, let me maybe customize so you can see the options. So here you have your provisioned options and the serverless option with the free tier, right? Now if I scroll down, I'll see that I can select different cloud providers, right? Let's leave it with the default, which is in the Netherlands, apparently. And you can configure the instance further. So something you can configure is the max MariaDB compute units. Sorry, where is it? Here. So this is MariaDB compute units, and one compute unit, something like this, one means 0.5 virtual CPUs, right? So make sure that you actually select or check this option here, scale to 0 when idle, because that's what allows MariaDB Cloud to deallocate these servers, so you don't have to pay for these resources anymore when you are not sending SQL queries. And it also scales not only compute but also storage, so you can select the limit that you want for this auto scale. Now let's give it a name here. Let's do demo, and you can configure an IP address from where you are allowed to connect to this database. I'm going to leave it to all, so I'm not going to change that. And now we click launch service, and this is already provisioned for us, so we can connect to it. So I'm going to click connect, and you have all the details on how to connect to the service, including a MariaDB command, which I'm going to run right here in this terminal. So I just pasted that, and it's asking for the password, which is right here, the default password. Let's copy it, paste it here, and we're connected to MariaDB server. Pretty nice, right? Now, something I want to do is also change the default password. So let's change this to pass123 dash. Of course, please use something more secure than that. And the other thing that we want to do is create database demo. Okay, so our instance is ready, and we can connect to it. And this is the application I'm going to use. It's an online store simulator that has two processes, two applications, a Java backend and Svelte front end. So this one connects to that one, and this one connects to the MariaDB database. And there's a Docker Compose file, and it deploys both services because each one has a Docker file, right? And this is configured through these, or the Docker file, it uses this end file. So I need to configure the connection here. So let's copy the host, the port, the database name is correct. Make sure to add this, and the username is that one. Password is, I think that's the one we used, and that's it. You can see the backend is going to listen for requests on port 8080, which is what the Svelte application does, and the front end we can access on port 3000. So let's go ahead and Docker compose app build. So it takes the Docker files. I think I saw an exception there. I will have to have a look at that. But it seems it actually started. So let's say if it works. Localhost 3000. Well, it seems to be working. It's connecting to a database, and we have our interface for the simulation. This is gonna just generate some sort of workload here. So we have some plots here to visualize what's going on with the simulation in our online store, right? And then we have this panel here that shows how many orders have been made. Like this is like writes, okay? So how many writes have been done and how many products we have in our database. This kind of, by increasing these, we kind of make the simulation or MariaDB, we don't need more memory, right? Because the table is going to be bigger and bigger. And disappointed visitors miss opportunities is just something that we calculate when the transactions are taking maybe too long, more than these the rest. Well, but it doesn't matter. Here are the settings. We can configure how many visits or products views per second. That's like the reads, and how many writes or orders per minute. So let's go with a small store, right? And that's very small. So I don't know. Is it small really? I don't know. 2 visits or 2 product views per minute, and 0.1 orders per minute. So I don't think it's that bad, but let's go to data and create products because we have 0, right? And this is a small store, so let's create only 500 products. Should be creating the products here, products created, and now we can start the simulation, I guess. So we're gonna see here how many visits there are and how many orders. I guess at this point we won't see orders because it's so low that we'll have to wait way too long for them to appear. But we should eventually see visits. There we go. We have 1 visit here. This is how long it takes. Now I'm connecting from my home, right, in Finland to a server in Amazon Web Services, I think, or Google Cloud. I don't remember what it's selected. Actually, I can check here. It was Google Cloud Platform in the Netherlands. So this is gonna, of course, increase the delay, but this is gonna work anyway, and it is working. So let's get back to our MariaDB Cloud dashboard here, because we can visualize the MariaDB compute units that we are using. In fact, we can see them here more easily. Well, here they are, or even here in system. I think this plot is a bit better. So we see that we are using currently 1 MariaDB compute unit. Okay, that's because it's a small store, and we have very few products, and we are not making that many requests per second. So 1 MariaDB compute unit seems to be enough for this workload, but we can increase that. So for example, we can go to something like around. Okay, so I tested this before, and in order to see this happening, I think it's like around, I don't know, I would say somewhere there. And for this one, it was like 90, something like that would do. This one was actually, now let's leave it there. And then let's create more products, right? Because this is a bigger store now. So let's increase we have 500, so let's add some to complete 5,000 products. So we see that they are being created. So we are writing random products to a database. And let's wait for this to finish in 5K, I guess, is the limit. Products created. Good. That's what we wanted. And now let's start the simulation here. So apply. And now we see that we are getting around 30 product views per second, and from 1 to 2 orders per second, which makes sense, right? So it is working. Now, this is going to be reflected here because this is going to try to scale up. In fact, we see that maybe it scale up to 1.3 MCUs right here. Maybe when we were creating these new products, we created several thousand products. So maybe that's what's happening there. But what we can do now is wait to see if this increase here was enough to create a spike in the instance, and if not, we can just increase it again. Let's see what happens. All right, now we see a spike there, right? So it's going almost to 2 MariaDB compute units. Maybe it will get up to 2 at some point, right? But you get the idea. It's scaling up because it detects that more traffic is coming to the database, so it needs more compute. This happened automatically, as you saw, right? So I wonder if this is a rounding error or something, but we're around 2 MariaDB compute units, which is the limit right now as of this configuration for this kind of instance. Now, the cool thing is that if we scale down, or if we stop rather if we stop the simulation, so we are not sending any requests to the database, it's like it's idle now, then we should be able to see that reflected here in our dashboard. So let's wait and see if that line goes down to 0. All right, so now we see that it has scaled down to 0 MariaDB compute units. So the servers are deallocated now. Pretty cool, huh? So when to use serverless? Well, when you need a dev or a test environment, this is a great option. When you are learning and experimenting with MariaDB and applications and building all kinds of applications, then this is great because you can just create one instance right away super fast and connect to it. And for proof of concept projects, right? So in general, applications with intermittent usage, that's the best scenario for MariaDB Cloud Serverless architecture. So that's what I wanted to show you. Try it out. You find links in the description of this video. Create an account. It's free. You don't need to introduce any credit card details or anything. You can create a MariaDB instance in the cloud that just works as you so. And let me know what you think about it, or if you have more questions about this architecture, for example, what's behind it. Spoiler alert, it's cloud native technologies like Kubernetes and things like MariaDB Max Scale. By the way, the MariaDB instances are not, it's not a fork of InnoDB, it's not a fork of MariaDB, it's actual MariaDB without modifications. So that's pretty cool as well. All right, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.